Bharatiya Janata Party leader Rakesh Pandita was shot dead by terrorists in Tral in Jammu and Kashmir as he visited friends. This is the fifth instance of a BJP leader being shot dead in the valley in a spate of targeted killings. His family is up in arms. They not only want the National Investigation Agency to probe because they suspect someone leaked information of his travel. Incidentally, he was traveling without security. But they also want hard action against not just the terrorists, but those who've sheltered the terrorists. The question also remains, why was the BJP leader without his security detail? Sunil Ji Bhatt with this report. Rakesh Pandita, a BJP councillor, was shot dead by terrorists in Tral area of Pulwama district on Wednesday evening. Pandita belonged to the minority Kashmiri Hindu community. There was despair in his house in Jammu. Pandita's family is shattered. They see his murder as a well-planned, targeted assassination and want justice.
मैं अपनी आँख से देखना चाहती हूँ कि उनको भी साफ होना चाहिए ऐसे ही जहाँ जहाँ मिलिटेंट है वहाँ पे उनको साफ होना चाहिए जिन्होंने इसको भी छुआ उसको उनको भी ऐसे ही गोलियों से बूंद दिया जाता है ऐसे
तो धोखा दिया हो सकता है क्या पता मिली भगत की पॉसिबिलिटी हर एक चीज़ की हो सकती है अभी इस पे जांच होनी चाहिए एनआईए वगैरह से
Jammu and Kashmir police say that the BJP councillor had been provided 2 security personnel, but he defied standard operating procedure and went to a friend's house in Tral without his security detail.
All those conspirators in this killing of Sri Rakesh Pandita ji will be taken to task. They will be neutralized. No one go unpunished. They will never be spared.
PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti and NC leader Omar Abdullah described the killing of the BJP leader as a senseless act of violence. Despite the abrogation of Article 370 in August 2019, there has been no let-up in targeted killings of mainstream leaders and political workers in Jammu and Kashmir.
Clearly, attempt from Pakistan and the terrorists is to derail the democratic process in Jammu and Kashmir and to send out a message to the minuscule minority of Kashmiri Pandits that they are not welcome in the Kashmir Valley. With video journalist Neeraj Kumar, this is Sunil Bhatt reporting from Jammu for India Today.
And Rakesh Pandita's son Paras now joins me on the broadcast. Paras, क्या कुछ जानकारी मिल पाई है? एक तो हमारी संवेदना, लेकिन पारस आपको कुछ जानकारी मिल पाई है कि वो बिना सुरक्षा के अपने मित्र के घर त्राल में क्यों गए?
सिक्योरिटी के नॉलेज नहीं है मुझे कि क्यों सिक्योरिटी के बिना थे. ये इन्वेस्टिगेशन का मैटर है. एनआईए सीबीआई जब इन्वेस्टिगेशन करेगी तब पता चलेगा कि सिक्योरिटी के बिना थे कि नहीं.
अच्छा, जब वो घाटी में फिर लौटकर गए, त्राल जैसे इलाके में गए जहां बहुत आतंकवाद है, क्या कहकर गए थे? उनका सपना क्या था कश्मीर घाटी के लिए?
कश्मीर जो है उनकी बर्थ प्लेस थी, तो काफ़ी लगाव था उस जगह से. वो चाहते थे डेवलपमेंट हो, भाईचारा बढ़े वहाँ, इसलिए वो गए थे.
क्या पारस आपको किसी पर शक है, आपके परिवार को किसी पर शक है, किसने की उनकी हत्या?
सीधी बात है कि पाकिस्तान टेररिस्ट लोग ही हैं जिन्होंने मेरे पापा को मारा है. वही चाहते हैं कि कश्मीरी वापस ना आए श्रीनगर कश्मीर में. अब ये पॉइंट है कि ये क्वेश्चन है कि अब हत्या हुई कैसे, क्या अब तक किसी लोकल ने उनकी लोकेशन टिप ऑफ दी हो. इसलिए मैं चाहता हूँ कि एनआईए इंक्वायरी वगैरह करे ताकि जो लोग इस साजिश के पीछे, जो लोग मेरे पापा की हत्या के पीछे हैं, उनको सख्त से सख्त कड़ी सज़ा मिली जाए.
तो इस समय जब प्रशासन के अधिकारी आपके परिवार से बात कर रहे हैं, आपने किस तरह की मांग रखी है? क्या आपको सुरक्षा की आवश्यकता है? आपके परिवार को सुरक्षा की आवश्यकता है? क्या चाहते हैं आप?
ये चाहता हूँ कि एनआईए सीबीआई जो है इंक्वायरी करे मेरे पापा की डेथ के पीछे, और जो लोगों को सज़ा मिले जिनके रीज़न की वजह से मेरे पापा की डेथ हुई है. और जो हिंदूज़ वहाँ पर हैं उनकी सिक्योरिटी हो, ताकि ऐसा इंसिडेंट दोबारा कभी ना हो।
क्या उनको कोई खतरा था? क्या उनको किसी ने धमकी दी थी जान से मारने की? त्राल जैसे इलाके में वो जाके चुनाव लड़े, चुनाव जीते, उस समिति के अध्यक्ष भी बने म्यूनिसिपल काउंसिल के। क्या उनको खतरा था किसी तरह का पारस?
उसके बारे में मैंने कभी सुना नहीं, पर यह है कि काफ़ी लोग जेलस थे वहाँ पर, क्योंकि हिंदू बने थे वहाँ प्रेसिडेंट। अब काफ़ी लोग चाहते थे कि मेरे पापा जो है रास्ते से हट जाए, इसलिए इंक्वायरी होनी चाहिए ताकि जो लोग इसके पीछे हैं उनको सख्त कड़ी सजा मिली जाए।
निश्चित तौर पर there should be an investigation and the perpetrators and those who shielded the perpetrators are punished. Paras, for talking to us here on India First, many thanks. Our heartfelt condolences to you and your family. The question remains, what message are terrorists sending out? Is there merit in Paras Pandita saying that this is a message that Hindus, that Pandits should not come back into the Kashmir Valley? What message should the state send out? Joining me on India First, Brigadier Anil Gupta, spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Majid Haidari is a Kashmiri activist, and SP Vaid is former Director General of the Jammu and Kashmir Police. Majid Haidari, Rakesh Pandita now, Ajay Pandita before that, of course also Wasim Bari, his father, his brother. Is this targeting of Kashmiri Hindus as the son alleges, or is this targeting of BJP leaders in Kashmir? What message is being sent out? Is this systematic elimination of people of a certain ideology in Kashmir?
Well, Gaurav, Jammu and Kashmir, entire Jammu and Kashmir is yet again into a state of collective mourning this time by this killing. But you know, there's a problem that we have terror everywhere across the country, and we have sense of security nowhere. Because we are being ruled by a party which even empowered the coronavirus to unleash terror. For me, this act of terror is not only terror. When a patient dies for the want of oxygen, that too is terror.
Don't digress. Corona is a separate. No, Majid Haidari. Majid Haidari.
When my
Majid Haidari. No digressing.
That too is also act of terror.
Who are the people, Majid Haidari, who are the people who shot and killed Rakesh Pandita when he was unarmed at a friend's house? He came back to Kashmir. There was hope. Who are the people who don't want such people to give hope in Kashmir Valley? Brigadier Anil Gupta.
That's my question. Where is my government? Why was his life not secured?
Okay, fair question. Brigadier Anil Gupta, how will the BJP protect people if it's unable to protect its own in Jammu and Kashmir, especially in the valley? Brigadier Gupta, can you hear me? Or is that an uncomfortable question that...
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Fair enough. We will attempt to refix that line. But this is a question that you must hear, because there is no way that the BJP can get away by saying they can't hear the cries of people in the Kashmir Valley and their own cadre. Your own cadre are being killed. You are unable to protect them, sir.
No, good evening, Gaurav. I think it's not correct allegation that we are not able to protect our cadre. Our cadre is well protected, our cadres are highly motivated. But the question is that the entire security gamut which is being provided, there are gaping holes in that. Now take for example, Rakesh Pandita left a protected place and left his PSOs behind. What did the PSOs do? Did they inform the police control room that he has left? No. Had they done that, as per the SOP, then the police would have got into action and they would have intercepted him and ensured that either is brought back to the protected place or he moves with the security. There's a big gap, there's a big lapse. Such things should not happen. Now, also, who informed the terrorists? After all, he was staying in his friend's place, a Muslim friend's place in Taral.
Yes.
Who informed the terrorists that he's there? So there is, I think, there's a plot. He has been dragged into this death. He has been taken there to be killed. There's a plot. There's a need to unfold that plot.
Okay. Mr. Vaid, this is also the failure of the administration. As Brigadier Gupta says, Rakesh Pandita was without his security detail. Why was he without his security detail? Was he lured into a trap and shot dead, sir?
Gaurav, there is a possibility of trap. It needs to be investigated, but obviously the SOP has not been followed. The SOP for the protected person is, as soon as he ventures out of his protected place, he must inform the security control room, and then security control room in turn informs the concerned district SP of place he is visiting, and also the concerned SHO of the police station. Obviously this has not been done, and his own 2 PSOs were not accompanying him.
Yes.
That needs to be looked into. Why were they left out? And then the local police station and district SP was not activated. The security control room informs the concerned district SP and the police station, because local intelligence, you know which side the movement of terrorists is there. You dominate the route of the protected person. You try to cover and do deployment in a place where he is visiting, the house he is visiting.
Okay.
Obviously, all this has not been done, and that is why, taking advantage of these weaknesses and loopholes in our system, the terrorists have killed him.
No, there is a ghar ka bhedi. There is someone who gave out that information that he was visiting a family in Tral. They entered the house and killed him.
It's a very valid question. How did terrorists know that he is coming there? And obviously, there is some leak. So somebody needs to investigate how did it happen. So
Majid Hydari, Kashmiriyat only in words, not in deed. Is this the message that is being sent out, that Kashmiri Pandits are not welcome back in the valley?
Well, Gaurav, the larger question is that why should any Indian citizen feel insecure with security or without security? I mean, what is the role of the government? Honorable Prime Minister has said that after the abrogation of Article 370 on August 5, 2019, there will be peace and prosperity in Kashmir and Pandits will be brought back. But the government, which is ready to bring back Hindus from Afghanistan, Hindus from Bangladesh and Pakistan, they are unable to ensure security of Pandits within their own homeland. This is typical failure on the part of BJP government, much the way it has happened with the COVID. So let's not say that this way some lapse, other lapse. It's the lapse on the part of government.
Okay.
That the people are feeling insecure. It is not only some Hindu or Pandit getting killed. Kashmiri Muslims are getting killed. Just 2 days ago, 2 civilians got killed in same South Kashmir. So where is the sense of security? Where is
Brigadier
the government?
Gupta, respond. Brigadier Gupta, that's a fair point that Majid Hydari makes. Close to 2 years of abrogation of Article 370, BJP leaders continue to blame Pakistan and Pakistan-sponsored terror. This clearly shows how state-sponsored terror still remains relevant despite a majority government at the center and so-called strong administration in the Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Brigadier Gupta.
That's true, Gaurav, but then terror or terrorists cannot be eliminated overnight. The level of violence...
Sir, 2 years is not overnight, sir. You had close to 2 years after abrogation of Article 370.
You know how much time does it take to finish terrorism? How much time it took in Nagaland? How much time it took in Northeast? Terrorism is not finished in years and months. It takes time.
How much time? You want another decade? You want 2 decades? You want 7 decades like other parts, some other parts?
It's not a question of decade. The terrorism in Kashmir can only finish when the Kashmiris stop supporting the terrorists.
So are you saying Kashmiris are supporting, some Kashmiris are supporting terrorists? Is that what you're saying? Say it in black and white, sir. Don't beat about the bush. Are you saying some people in Kashmir still support terror?
Please listen to me. Terrorists without local support are like fish out of water. They survive because of local support. Till such time they continue, we have the overground network working in Kashmir, supporting the terrorists. It's very difficult to eliminate terrorism totally.
Majid Hydari, respond. There are some black sheep who continue to support terrorists in the valley.
Well, I would say umre daraz मांग के लाए थे 4 दिन, 2 आरज़ू में कट गए 2 इंतजार में. That is the kind of a logic and plea BJP has for its failure to restore peace and normalcy in Jammu and Kashmir. I mean,
you can blame the BJP and you must, But what about the black sheep in the valley who, according to Brigadier Gupta, continue to support and shelter terrorists without local support? Some black sheep, terrorists would be like fish out of water.
No, Gaurav, BJP has been into power with regard to Jammu and Kashmir for the last 12 years now. How can we forget that in the last 30 years of armed conflict, BJP has been playing the power role for the last 12 years. So what has been BJP's contribution? Every time you will put blame on Congress, you will put blame on Nehru, Rahul Gandhi, blah, blah, blah. But what has BJP done in the last 12 years of its power in the center? Nothing.
Mr. Vaid, you were at the helm of affairs. Sir, you raise a very fair point. And Mr. Vaid, you were at the helm of affairs. How would you respond to both Brigadier Gupta, who say local support to terror, and Majid Hydari, who says, what have you done about it?
Gaurav, see, fighting terrorism is a very long battle, and I think a lot of work is being done. A lot of terrorists have been eliminated, but you see, till the last gun remains, killings will continue. It's not only Rakesh issue. The targeting has taken place of all the communities, all political hues, people.
Sir,
from
anyone
all the
who stands up for the tricolor is targeted.
Absolutely. Anyone who is standing for the tricolor, it becomes a target, and more so if you are a Kashmiri Pandit. So my point is, it's not possible to provide PSOs and securities to everyone, but we all have to be alert to the threat perception, and everyone has to play its role, not only the security forces, even the protected person must be aware of what steps he should take to protect himself.
Okay.
And any lapse on anybody's part can lead to acts like this.
Because Majid Hydari, it's a cause for grave concern. You have leaders like Sajjad Lone. He's unable to call a spade a spade. He calls terrorists gunmen even today. Is this fear? Is this fear to call out a terrorist in Kashmir even today?
Gaurav, can I
Yes,
come in?
definitely. There's a sense of insecurity across the country, not only in Kashmir.
No, forget about the rest of the country.
sense of
Sir, I'm
security.
having a very targeted, my questions are very targeted, sir. Don't beat about the bush. Tell me facts. Why are people like Sajjad Lone unable to call a spade in the valley?
Sajjad Lone's family has already paid the price of speaking the truth. So I don't think Sajjad Lone will be that unwise that he'll speak something foolish that claims his life. I mean, that is the well-guarded reply to your question.
Fair point, Brigadier Gupta. Fair point. This is the level of fear that even protected leaders are unable to call out terror. Your government, it seems, has declared victory over Pakistan state-sponsored terror rather prematurely, sir, your party.
No, I'm very sorry. We have not declared victory. We still say we are fighting terror, and we still maintain that till Pakistan gives up terror, there will be no talks with Pakistan. So we are not sounded any bugle of victory. But I must tell you, there's an ecosystem in Kashmir. When these two Hindus were killed, one jeweler and one the sweet shop owner,
Yes.
the posters by TRF which said that Kashmir only for Kashmiri Muslims. Anybody else here will be treated as the mouthpiece and informer of Nagpur and RSS and will be eliminated. None of these people, including Majid Hydari, objected to it. That is the ecosystem I'm referring to. They give silent support to these type of people. Why didn't Kashmiri Muslims at that time cry foul? And they said that this is not acceptable in Kashmir. Why didn't they stand with the Hindus? This is what is encouraging the terrorism.
Respond, Majid Hydari. Call a spade a spade.
He is laughing now.
Are you scared to call out? Are you scared to call out such elements who say Kashmir only for Kashmiri Muslims?
He is blaming Kashmiri Muslims for what he calls Pakistan-sponsored terrorism. Now, let me tell him, it was not some Kashmiri Majid Hydari or Sajjad Lone writing a letter of love and respect and care to Imran Khan. It was not me, it was Honorable Prime Minister writing to him. It was not Majid Hydari holding talks.
Sir, again, you're digressing from the point I am raising, and I'm raising a very specific point. Is it time for people to speak up and in one voice against Pakistan state-sponsored terror, including those elements, who say Kashmir only for Kashmiri Muslims?
Gaurav, this gentleman is in the habit of deflecting issues. That's why not deflecting an issue. Where is the relevance of what Prime Minister wrote? And what Prime Minister wrote was a routine letter written by every Prime Minister. Not only Mr. Modi wrote. Every Prime Minister on the occasion
That's
of
not the
National
point
Day
of my
Pakistan
debate today, and I will
writes a
not let
letter.
Majid Hydari digress. My issue
Yes,
is
he is in the habit of doing that.
when will action be
Sometimes
taken?
bringing
No,
China,
sir,
sometimes
Mr.
bringing
Ved,
Pakistan.
Mr.
We
Ved,
will never talk about the issue.
Mr.
I
Ved,
have raised a
when will
specific
action
issue.
be taken against those, that ecosystem that says Kashmir only for Kashmiri Muslims, as Breda Gupta puts it?
See, there is no denying of the fact that there is an ecosystem for many, many years, and that needs to be dismantled. It will take some time. I'm sure actions are being taking place on many, many areas. And like I'll give an example. There were allegations of some people infiltrating the various wings of the government. Now, government had recently formed a committee known as screening committee, and people who are working against the nation are being identified and removed. Similarly, many other steps. You need a multi-pronged strategy to handle a complicated situation like Kashmir, like issue of radicalization you are aware of. There is dearth of weapons, which all this cannot happen without weapons. Our weapons are obviously coming from Pakistan. Now, Pakistan, finding it difficult to infiltrate terrorists, is airdropping through drones. You are aware of the incidents of drone arms dropping. So many other steps. Now, on a debate like this, I think it will take a lot of time to elaborate.
It indeed would be, and you're absolutely right. I've run out of time on this part of the show, but my sincere hope and prayer is that the state is able to go after not just Pakistan state-sponsored terror, but also those who give an enabling cover fire to such elements. It's also essential that own people who stand up for the flag are made to feel secure in Jammu and Kashmir. To all my guests, many thanks for joining me, gentlemen.